Hello again. Welcome back to Chapter 12 of The Lemonade War. When we last left off, things were not going so well for Jesse and Evan. And let's see how things go from here. Chapter 12 is called Waiting Period. A waiting period is a noun. It's a specified delay required by law between taking an action and seeing the results of that action. So here we go. Jessie wanted to have fun. She really did. It seemed like the more she tried, the less she had. First, the drive to the beach took 2.5 hours because of traffic. Jessie felt the car lurching forward. Stop. Forward. Stop. Memo to myself, said Mr. Moriarty. Never go to the beach on the Sunday of Labor Day weekend, especially when there's been a heat wave for more than a week. In the back seat, Jessie and Megan played license plate tag and magnetic bingo and 20 questions, and by the end of the car ride, Jessie was cramped and bored. Then the beach parking lot was full, so they had to park half a mile away and walk. Then the beach was so crowded they could hardly find a spot for their blanket. Then Megan said the water was too cold and she just wanted to go in up to her ankles, and she kept squealing and running backwards every time a gentle ripple of wave came her way. What fun was that? Sure, the water was cold. It was the North Shore. It was supposed to be cold. And that's why I felt so good on a hot day like this. When Jessie and Evan went to the beach, they would boogie board and body surf and skimboard and throw a screaming scrunch ball back and forth the whole time. They loved to stay in the water till their lips turned blue and they couldn't stop shaking. Then they roast themselves like weenies on their towel, and they were hot and sweaty again. Then they go right back in. Now that was fun at the beach. Megan liked to build sandcastles and collect shells and play sand tennis and reel magazines. That was all fine, thought Jessie. But not going in the water? That's crazy. The ride home was itchy and hot. Sorry about that. Jessie had sand in all the places where her skin rubbed together, between her toes, behind her ears, and even in the cheeks of her bottom. And somehow she had gotten sunburned on her back, even though Mrs. Moriarty had smeared her all the way with thick, goopy sunscreen twice. Jessie didn't even have the patience for 10 questions, let alone 20. But Megan didn't get that Jessie didn't feel like talking. She just kept talking trying to get her to take a quiz in a teen magazine. If Evan had been there, he would have kept quiet, or maybe hummed a little. Jessie liked it when Evan hummed. As they turned into Damien Road, Megan asked, "Are you feeling sick?" In fact, she was. For the past half an hour, Jessie had been imagining walking in the door and facing Evan. She had been feeling sicker and sicker with every mile that brought her closer to home. So, in Chapter 12, Jessie really didn't get to enjoy her day on the beach. She's been thinking about what she did to sabotage Evan's lemonade business. And now we go to Chapter 13. This chapter is called Crisis Management. Crisis management is a noun. The special or extraordinary methods and procedures used when a business is in danger of failing. Sucker! Oh man, you were schooled! Preschool, baby! And for the third time that afternoon, Scott Spencer had gotten the drop on Evan, dribbling around him and then hitting the easy layup. So the guys were giving him the business, even the ones on his own team. It was Evan, Paul, and Ryan against Kevin Toomey, Malik Lewis, and Scott. Evan wished that Scott hadn't shown up, but he had. And they needed the sixth guy for a 3-on-3 since Jack had gone home to ask his mom if they could all swim at his house. So what was Evan supposed to say? Anyway, Evan was 3 times the ball handler that Scott was, and everyone knew it, so it was all in fun. But it didn't feel like much fun to Evan. "What's up, man?" Paul asked. Evan dribbled the ball back and forth. His left hand, right hand, and then through his legs. "Hey, it's hot," he said. "Yeah, it's hot for all of us," said Paul. "Get your game on, dude." But Evan couldn't get his moves right. He was a half a step behind himself, and every time he moved, the envelope slapped against his thigh like a reprimand. Try to remember what was in that envelope. "Speaking of hot," said Evan. Everyone turned to look. Jack was coming up the path running at a dead dog pace. "Oh, please, God," said Paul. "Please, let her say yes." As soon as he was in range, Jack shouted, "She said yes!" "What's up?" asked Scott. "Jack asked his mom if we could all go swimming in his pool," Kevin said. "Hey, Jack shouted Scott. "Can I come too?" "Yeah, sure," said Jack, who stopped running towards them and was waiting for them to join him on the path. Oh, great, thought Evan. But he wasn't about to turn down a dunk in a pool just because Scott Spencer would be there. Nobody wanted to go home for suits and towels, so Kevin, Malik, and Ryan were wearing basketball shorts anyway, so they could swim in those. We've got enough suits in the house," said Jack. "My mom always saves all the old ones." At the house, Evan changed into one of Jack's suits. He wrapped up his underwear and his shirt inside his shorts and put the bundle of clothes at the end of Jack's bed next to all the other guys' piled up clothes. It felt good to drop the heavy shorts with the envelope stuffed in one pocket. Then, just to be sure, he put his shoes on top of a pile of clothes. He didn't want anything happening to that money. They played pool basketball all afternoon, even though the teams were uneven. Mrs. Bagnerson brought out drinks and cookies and chips and sliced up watermelon, and every time one of them went into the house to use the bathroom, she shouted, "Dry off before you come in." But she did it in a nice way. Just then, when Evan thought the afternoon couldn't get any better, it did. Scott had gone into the house to go to the bathroom. A few minutes later, he came out dressed, his hair still dripping down his back. "I gotta go," he said, jamming his foot into his sneaker. "Did your mom call?" asked Ryan. "Nope, I just gotta go. See ya." And he ran out the gate. "Great," shouted Evan. "Now the teams are even." And they went back to playing pool hoops. Evan didn't even think about Scott Spencer for the rest of the afternoon. And he didn't think about Scott Spencer until he went into Jack's room to change back into his clothes. And he noticed that his shoes were on the floor. And his shorts weren't folded up.